Hello, we're live from Hartford, Connecticut. I'm Joseph Lee. We're at the Hartford Police's Real-Time Crime Center, and I'm joined with three special guests here today. So we have Krista, who is the senior analyst for the Real-Time Crime Center. And then over here we have Christopher Mastriani, who is the sergeant and lead of the Real-Time Crime Center. And we have Tim Convery, who is the director of law enforcement at BriefCam, and also a former deputy sheriff at the Middlesex County near Boston. So we'll hand it off to you.
All right. Hey, Sarge, good to see you. Glad to be here at your Real-Time Crime Center here in Hartford, Connecticut. Appreciate you taking some time to go over this, the murder of Jennifer Dulos. Very intriguing case, national news, and I'll tell you what came out of the Hartford Real-Time Crime Center helped solve this case, so we'd like to share it with folks across the country. Sarge, why don't you tell us a little bit about, we're going to learn a little bit about the Real-Time Crime Center, but as we start, I'd like to ask you a little bit, how did you get involved in the Real-Time Crime Center over the course of your career?
Yeah, so my background has been very techy. I was in the United States Air Force, where I got a degree in aviation technology, so I was always really interested in technology. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to come to a police department that decided, around 2015, 2016, to start deploying technology to the field, cameras, license plate readers, and decided to really ingest that into a single room here and start leveraging technology here in the city.
Tell us a little bit about the evolution of the Real-Time Crime Center here in Hartford, Connecticut, the C4 location we're in right now, recording live. Tell us how this evolved.
Yeah, so we're one of the early adapters of the Real-Time Crime Center thought process. If you go back, 15 years ago, people were deploying cameras and technology, but they weren't really getting utilized in real time. And then this theory of ingesting these into one room so that we can use it for the police and get that information out to them really took effect. And again, we were really one of the early adapters. We have NYPD as a neighbor here, so we saw what they were doing. It started right around 2015, 2016, deploying cameras, building this room. We named ourselves the Capital City Command Center, or C4. And we've really become really proficient at utilizing video evidence and creating solvability around crime. We recently just published a paper on the effects of our video use on crime solvability, which we'll talk about later. But because we've been around for a while, we do have a lot of institutional knowledge in this room. We have people that have been here for a long time and have really gotten good at developing the process we have for capturing things on video, but then also how do we get that out to our investigators quickly and in real time.
And over the years, you've had hundreds of agencies from around the world visit this center, right?
Yeah, so we kind of became a little bit of a tour place for a little bit, where a lot of agencies were coming here touring, seeing what we were doing, seeing how we were using this technology. And BriefCam's really been with us almost since the beginning. We see a lot of different companies now with video analytics and hardware doing it on the edge, but really we were doing this with BriefCam long before any of that.
Okay, all right, beautiful, excellent. So we're going to get into the case a little bit here, and the case is the murder of Jennifer Dulos. Interesting note here. This is a case we're going to review where the body was never found. So as we know from a law enforcement standpoint, it's a lot harder to get a conviction a lot of times without a body. So you have to have some really concrete evidence to make that happen. So why don't you just start walking us through a little bit about the murder itself?
Yeah, this was a really challenging case, like you said, without the body. Video proved to be an enormous part of this case and really how it came to conclusion in the end. The Connecticut State Police reached out to us and informed us that they had a missing mother of five case. That's how this case started. At some point during this case, they obtained cell phone data from the husband's phone, who was a suspect. The phone was showing its presence here in Hartford along Albany Ave, which is a main interstate that runs through our city. At that point, we started to assist them utilizing our cameras and our analysts to analyze video. We were given 5 cars that he could possibly be in, so they knew he was here. They knew cars he owned, but they weren't sure what car he was in. So that proved to be kind of a big task here. We have a street called Albany Avenue, where we have many cameras on that street, 10 cameras that run across that interstate. So looking for 5 cars across 10 cameras in about an hour of time is really challenging. You have 10 hours of video. This is a very heavily trafficked street.
And what do you have? I think what you have, over 6,000 vehicles that were in those 10 cameras in that time frame?
Yeah, so just in this small 1 hour time frame, we see over 6,000 cars.
Wow.
So trying to analyze 10 hours of video, 6,000 cars, and just pluck out a few possibilities is really challenging. It's like picking a needle out of a haystack.
All right, doing your due diligence on these 10 cameras, what did you do? Did you go in maybe a half an hour before the incident, a half an hour after, just to make sure you weren't missing anything? So now, to your point, you had at least an hour worth of video on 10 cameras, so you had 10 hours of video to try to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, in cases like this, we really can't just pinpoint down to the exact time, right? We want to see actions before and after and other possible actions that maybe nobody knows about. So to pull a longer part of video, it makes more sense.
All right, excellent, excellent. So from there, as we get into it, I know there's some history on this case, and I think what was unique as we started talking about this, we're talking about a married couple here, right? Both went to Ivy League schools, very well-to-do. You mentioned there were 5 kids involved with this couple. So, you mentioned there were multiple vehicles you had to look at because they had multiple vehicles to work within, and so that made it even more challenging. So, walk us through maybe when Connecticut State Police first reached out to you. I guess maybe they were leaving. He lived in where did he live? And he was heading to Hartford, which was a good hour away. How'd that transfer over?
Yeah, so this family's from New Canaan, Connecticut. So he really had no ties to Hartford or interest in it that we knew about. So for him to be here the day and the day after the disappearance of Jennifer was very interesting to the state police. So they really wanted to try to get an understanding of why he was here and what he was doing while he was here.
I think what's interesting, too, is in this particular case, he made the mistake of coming to the city in the state of Connecticut that had the most cameras. I believe you guys, how many cameras you have today?
Yeah, we have over 1,000 cameras in the city, and specifically on this road, too. This is a heavy populated, heavy trafficked road, so we do have a pretty large camera deployment on Albany Ave.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah, so to start analyzing this video, like I said, we had the 5 cars, we have 10 cameras. I gave it to one of my senior analysts to start working. And as we started going through all this video, we did come across very quickly, within minutes, 1 vehicle out of his 5 that we saw here in Hartford. Once we knew that was the vehicle, we were able to continue looking for that vehicle across multiple cameras with BriefCam.
All right, so from here right now, we know we've pinpointed the video that we're looking for. We know approximately an area that it is in this very heavily traveled area. And we know out of those 10 cameras, you had over 6,000 vehicles that you had to kind of scrub through the vehicle. I think in the past, this could have taken hours and hours. I bet 10 hours of video, if you're doing it old school, it could be, stop, go, stop, go. What do? Your 2 exit, your 4 exit, you're missing that frame. But having the proper technology helped you go through it really quick. And we all know time to target, the quicker you go through something, the better the chance of solving the case. So what happened next, Sarge?
Yeah, and to build on your point, there's research that shows that really a human can only watch about 15 minutes of video before they start missing things without even realizing it. So to sit there and watch hours of video is really not realistic if you're trying to pinpoint one item amongst thousands. So at this point, once we figure out what car he's driving, one of my analysts quickly saw the Ford Raptor that he was driving. We can then now search for this car with BriefCam across all 10 cameras, all 10 hours that we speak about. And what we saw is him stopping at trash cans along the road, getting out of his truck and placing items inside of the trash cans. Immediately, that was very suspicious. The first trash can we saw him run out to, I actually ran out there. I got my car very quickly and shot out there to check that trash can and check for some other items that we saw him put on the ground. That trash can I checked unfortunately was emptied already. But then I was able to alert Connecticut State Police as we started mapping other trash cans he was stopping at.
Can you show us, Sarge, how this all unfolded and how you used video analytics to help find what you're looking for?
Yeah, let me show. I'm going to have Krista here show you how we take 10 hours of video, 10 cameras, and very quickly pinpoint one vehicle we're looking for.
Okay, so this is our 10 cameras loaded into BriefCam's interface. Again, it shows the 6,000 up here of objects within these 10 cameras and the hour of time. So then we just kind of want to go through over here and pick pickup truck. And this is exactly what we did. We had no idea what kind of car he was in, other than the 5 that they said it might be. And we kind of just went to the top. We went to the first one that they said it could have been was a Ford Raptor. So we went pickup truck, apply, color, black. And we started going through, and we didn't really know what we were looking for. Again, his phone pinged on Albany Ave, but it could have just been driving through. We, again, had no idea what we were looking for. So we kind of just started scrolling through to find one. And
Ford Raptor.
here's a Raptor on Albany Ave. Play the clip out.
Now, Krista, you're doing this all in seconds, it seems. It doesn't seem like it's taking 10 hours.
It's not. We had some analysts in here going through manually because we had an exact location that the phone pinged at, Albany and Green. Our cameras can't really see Albany and Green that well. And again, we don't know what we're looking for. So the car could have just been driving quickly right through that part of the Albany Ave. And again, not sure what we're looking for, but we see this Raptor park. Looks slightly suspicious, slightly not. You never really know what to expect in the city. But then as we keep watching, we see a male exit, female putting something on the ground. What you can't see in this small clip of it, of the bigger view of the camera, is he goes over to the garbage can. And then he also puts something into the storm drain, checks the back of the truck, gets back in, and takes off.
And this is Jennifer's husband.
Allegedly.
So
Yes.
that, yeah, so we very quickly recognized that looked to be a matched description that was given to us in the pictures by the state police of her husband.
So then we were able to go back and track, because as Sergeant Mastriani said, we have a lot of cameras on Albany Ave. So now typically what we would do with this is now go back to our cameras also. So as we're still sifting through here, because we're still not sure if it's, at this point, even photos at the time.
Right.
So we're still playing here in BriefCam, as well as now someone's going to go back. Another analyst is going to go and track this truck and see where else it was in Albany Ave. And we're able to see it matches up with more clips in here. That the direction that clip just showed was him going westbound, so leaving Hartford. So now we wanted to find him coming in. So then we were able to find him right here. This is a little bit of a longer clip, but what you're going to see is the Raptor traveling eastbound on Albany Avenue. It comes up to, I believe it's Milford Street, and then turns south. And in our cameras, we have a 5-pack. So we've got a PTZ, which is this view facing westbound, and then we have 360 cameras around. So what you're not able to see in this small clip is as he makes that turn, there's a bunch of garbage bags in the back of the truck.
Okay. Now, BriefCam's kind of camera agnostic, but on this particular one, Sarge, what cameras were these?
Yeah, these are Axis cameras. We use them exclusively here in the city. Axis PTZs and 360.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. And the other thing I'm curious, Krista, here, we watched here on this video, we could see when he got out of the vehicle, you saw the color of his shirt, you saw the color of his pants.
Yep.
Are there other filters that help you pick him out anywhere he might have appeared in the video? What would you do next?
Yep. So I'm just going to go and reset all the filters that we have. And then I'm going to go to class, do man, personal attributes, do short sleeves,
White.
white.
Go further up. Yeah, beautiful. So you saw from the video when he got out that he had a white short sleeve. So this is
Correct.
really pretty neat how you can just go in and focus on that.
He had long pants that were black.
A little further, yeah. All right, so
We can apply it
look at this, really quick.
super quick.
Yeah, so right now you've got a snapshot of this alleged suspect at this point, and everything he's doing. Now, you can actually go in now and sequentially, you can put it from a timeline. I guess you can go in and check and watch his movement from the minute he entered the city. What's he doing right here, Sarge?
So here,
Yeah, so this is him disposing of trash bags. So as he's stopping at trash cans along the route, we see him getting rid of some items here.
And what's this right here? This was a big clue, wasn't it, in help solving right there?
Yeah, that ended up being the carpet to one of his other vehicles, a Suburban that had Jennifer's blood on it.
Okay.
They believed possible vehicle that she was in after her death.
So he probably dumped it in the alley because in this case it wouldn't fit in the trash container. And what happened on that? I heard there was an interesting story about once it got dumped there was a homeless man or somebody actually ended up sleeping on it, so it kind of preserved the evidence. It didn't get...
Yeah, we did end up seeing a homeless guy use it as a mattress on the street there overnight. But really, the timeline of all this, to really show you how quick this is, as we get the call from state police to start looking at video, I give this to Krista, and within minutes, we have him in the city, we have him on foot, we have his clothing description, and we have geographical points along the city where he stopped. I was then able to call back the state police, give them that information, and that's when we started a mass canvass of all his stops.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so from there, we've got a lot of information we've gathered that you've now provided to the state police. And so between Sergeant and Krista, what were your next steps now when you identified some of the trash containers that this evidence was dumped in? What'd you do next?
Yeah, well, we gave those locations again to the state police. They went out and did some really tough searches through trash, landfills, back alleys. They did a really extensive search, and they end up finding evidence in these trash cans that had Jennifer's blood and DNA on them.
Okay.
From there, the state police started going through third-party video in other different towns.
So you had a wealth of third-party videos as well as what you have with BriefCam's Protect. You now had a whole bunch of third-party video. How many hours would you say that was?
Hundreds. So state police pulled hundreds of hours of private videos from around the state at different areas where he could be. With BriefCam Protect, we were able to process all that video here in our crime center for the state police.
So you were assisting them because of the technology you had.
Right. They really leaned on us heavily to process hundreds of hours of video. Time was really of the essence here. With trash cans being emptied, with evidence being disposed of. They really didn't have time to spend hours looking at video. They really leaned on us heavily for BriefCam to process all that video for them.
All right. And so where do we go from here as we walk through this case a little further? At that point, they went out, they retrieved video. What I was interested in here is I see in one of the videos, I see, Krista, what appears to be a license plate being dumped in a sewer drainage. I guess this takes LPR to a whole different level. Normally we're looking for it on vehicles, but right here, watch this. Can you walk us through this, Sergeant? What's going on here?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, if you watch this video even a little bit closer than him going to the trash can, he also goes down to the sewer grate and disposes an item inside the sewer grate. We immediately called Public Works and let them know, along with the state police. Our Public Works went out there and actually drained that sewer and was able to retrieve that item out of the sewer.
And where did that plate come from? Was it moved from a different vehicle? Or I know he was trying to disguise what he was doing, but did they alter the plate or what went on there?
Yeah, so that was, again, we didn't know it was a license plate at first. It was in a FedEx package that he slipped down there. Upon retrieving it, we found a license plate in there with numbers on it that were manipulated.
Okay.
Yeah, so video proved to be really big in this case. To this day, they have not found Jennifer's body. But what they did do is using our video footage of him at the trash cans and the evidence with her blood on it they did gather, they had enough to charge him with destruction of evidence from a crime. So that's what initially is how they got him into custody. And so to this day, Jennifer's body has not been recovered. But without this video, he may have never been charged with anything. It could be free to this day. So the video proved to be enormous. The evidence that they were able to gather in Hartford quickly. Again, speed was important on this one. These trash cans get emptied daily and are on a cycle. Had we spent time processing hundreds of hours of video, we probably would have missed out on all this evidence. So speed was important. We got this request. We found him on video. We started processing this video. We were able to geographically see his locations, send state police out there, and they found evidence right away. Again, had we spent hours or days trying to process all this video, we probably would have lost that evidence out of the trash can. So he was charged, brought into jail, bonded out. This became a very high-profile case all over the country, nationally. In fact, they ended up making a movie about it. You can Google it. There is a movie they made about it. And really the conclusion of this case to this day is they have not found Jennifer's body. He ended up committing suicide, so they never were really able to charge him. But most people, I think, found some closure in that and took that as an admission of guilt.
Right. And then from there, what happened? His girlfriend, what happened? She went to court?
So the girl you see in the video, that was actually his new girlfriend, and she's with him in the vehicle at this time. She was actually charged with evidence tampering, conspiracy as well.
Okay. And what happened from there? She was convicted?
Yeah, she was convicted of that crime.
Yeah.
And is in jail right now.
Okay. So once again, you solved the case without a body, which is pretty difficult today to do in law enforcement.
It's a murder without a body, and really was just heavily leaning on video evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once we located that truck in BriefCam, we went back into our VMS. We used Milestone here in C4 to start bookmarking and time stamping his movements.
So this was the first instance that we just saw in BriefCam, where he's leaving the city. This was him. I'm just going to scrub through really quick. It's him getting out and going to the trash can. So what we were able to do is, while someone continues sifting through BriefCam, someone could go back to this actual time. We've used these things called bookmarks, and that's part of Milestone. You put a little blue tick here. You can label it saying what's happening, and then it's just really easy to go back and find. So now I can go back in the video track, double click, you can see these are all the views that we have exported for this particular case. But as you're scrolling through, you can see other little blue bookmarks here. The bookmark on the bottom just means that it's somewhere in the view there's a bookmark made. So click around. So this one, you can see that there's a second tick mark at the top. So open it up. And then this was, again, the truck coming back. So the truck's over here right now. But this is kind of what we do. We go through our cameras, which is more views than you see here. This is just the export. And we'll go through, backtrack. And we're going to see him dumping that map over here. There he is. So in this view, you can see that there's another little bookmark here. But this really makes it easier for us to go back and kind of play out the whole storyline.
So you can breadcrumb all those activities.
Exactly.
Especially when you're going through hours of video and there's multiple investigators and analysts involved in this. It's really important to still get into your VMS and create those bookmarks.
Excellent.
That's great. Can you show us one more scene? And you showed us how you can, zoom in really quickly.
I mean, in that case, you didn't need LPR because you found the Ford Raptor, but if you had, you
Maybe the PTZ
can zoom in and do all that stuff.
Especially since this one was where they were trying to identify who that person was. That's the only time that she actually popped out of the vehicle. Right?
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
And actually it was good enough to almost pick up
The plate.
him through his windshield. Yeah.
Now, did she also tell the police that she never got out of the vehicle, that she was going for coffee? Was there some
Yeah.
story that
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was
Because they
doing?
did go for coffee.
He
So
had
their
some
first
hour
stop
ride.
was Starbucks, and then they drove. Yeah. So she we just went out for coffee.
I didn't know what was going
She
on.
to this day is held strong. She will not budge.
Another feature that we have with these cameras through Milestone also is once you get to the bookmark, you can go back and you can do a box and just visually zoom in on those individuals.
And who do we have hanging out of the vehicle there? Who do you have there, Krista?
So that was the girlfriend.
Okay.
That was Michelle, and that's who was actually took the fall, took the trial for it. She said she was putting gum on the ground.
So, Sarge, this has been a very intriguing case here, and Hartford PD's Real-Time Crime Center, along with the state police, you guys did excellent work in getting a conviction on this case. Just tell us, once again, maybe the little importance of the Real-Time Crime Center and the impact it's having on the city. You guys do a lot more than just solve crimes here. It has financial impacts, and there's a lot of different things that you're helping other areas of the city daily. So tell us just a little bit more about the use of video analytics, how they're helping so many different agencies within the city.
Yeah, we've become a really effective real-time crime center. I brag, I think we're one of the best in the country. And we really have leveraged technology well, combined with other technologies. We've really developed a really good process here for how we use these technologies, and we have amazing end users, trained analysts using this stuff. We recently just published a peer-reviewed research study out of our crime center here. In that case study, we reviewed 243 shooting cases in the city of Hartford. We evaluated whether there was a video component to those cases, and if there was a video component, what was the outcome of that case. Our study showed a 442% increase in the solvability of that case if there was a video component in that case, which was actually stronger than a cooperating witness. It was a stronger variable in that. We know cooperating witnesses can be discredited. Video doesn't lie. So video is a really powerful evidence for us. And you can see in this case, without the video, I truly believe that he would have never been arrested, nor would she for her part in it. Video was an enormous piece of this puzzle, and speed was an enormous piece of the puzzle. Being that he was dumping evidence in city trash cans, we would have lost that evidence had we not had the speed of BriefCam to find his vehicle and find his locations. We would have lost that evidence. It would have been thrown away. Had we been in this crime center watching hours of video, we would have lost that evidence. So having that video and having the speed to get that information to the investigators is why there was an arrest in this case.
Let me ask you, Chris, I hear across the country, everybody talks about they're putting up cameras, and a host of cameras. Some cities have a couple thousand, some have 100, some have 50. But if you don't have the tools to go through it, does it keep making sense just to put more cameras up? And what would your message be to them?
Yeah, my message would be is using technologies in combination with each other and having a process for how you use those. I liken this to a fire hydrant. If you have fire hydrants all over the street, you don't put out fires faster. You don't prevent fires. It's the process behind the fire hydrant. It's the combination with other technologies. You still need the firefighters to get into the truck, hook up a hose, turn on a water supply, and then you have effective firefighting. It's the same with cameras. It's the same with all this technology. You can have 1,000 cameras. If you have no way to process, what can you do with that video? What can you do with thousands of hours of video? It's the combination of utilizing with other pieces of technology, having a good process, and I would highly recommend documenting what you do, keeping good data. That's how we're able to do this case study, because we keep good data in here, and showcase your successes. Put it out to the public. Be transparent in what you're doing in your crime center. Yeah. So when you do all that and you have a process for how you're using this stuff, and you start creating solvability around the crime in the city, you're in turn going to see reductions in your crime. You're going to have a better city, a safer city. And when you're transparent with everything you do, you're going to have your stakeholders and your citizens supporting your use of technology.
Very good. Well, Sarge, that was great. Krista, that was outstanding. It's always nice to come into a real-time crime center and see things in action and see the people behind it making it happen, because you guys, as agencies do all across the U.S., help to keep the community safer. So we thank you for what you do, and we thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just go through these questions. And a lot of these questions are submitted by people before, people wondering about real-time crime centers and how to set them up. And obviously, Sarge, with your experience, having one of the finest real-time crime centers in America, we could really use your expertise. So to start it off, the first question is, do you think it's important to promote transparency when setting up a real-time crime center?
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually one of my favorite things about our real-time crime center. We've really been transparent and open to the public. There's obviously some negative viewpoints on police using technology, so it's even more important in this day and age to just show what you're doing, show what you're using the technology for. We have press conferences in here. We've allowed the news in here several times. We have tours, Boy Scouts. We have churches that have come in through here. We've always had a really big open door policy, and we really need the support of the community and the stakeholders when using this technology. We need their trust. You talk about license plate readers, how negative that topic that has become nationwide. We need the public's trust, so we've always been open to show them. We've broadcast our results. We've shared successes with the news. And then there's funding, right? We need to pay for all this stuff. So I can't have a secret surveillance center here and expect I'm going to get purchases and procurement through City Hall and our City Council. So it's really important for so many reasons that you're just transparent. Have a ribbon cutting ceremony. I always tell people, just cut a ribbon, tell the public you're using technology, and then showcase your successes. This case we're talking about here today, Dulos, was a really bright spot for our crime center. It really showed the public that we were using this for solvability. It wasn't this mass surveillance center. We were trying to create solvability around crimes that occur in our city. And this case really put a spotlight on it. And we were really open that we did use several different technologies with this case.
Tim, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Sarge, and I'm hearing the same thing across the country. I think the days of not being transparent are over. I think the message is loud and clear. You're always going to be looking for additional funding to put up more cameras, to buy different technologies to help keep the community safe. So the more ownership the community can take in what you're doing to help keep them safe is just a positive all the way around.
Yeah, and I think the intention sometimes of why police departments are secretive with their real-time crime centers are not ill intentions. They are really that sensitivity of trying to, I've heard police departments say, well, we don't want to give up our secrets. We don't want to give up our camera locations. And trust me, it doesn't matter. Crime will fall within the view sheds of your cameras, whether the public knows about them or not. And really, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You're better off just being public and transparent with your locations and what you're using. There's a lot of research that shows cameras do not change behavior, especially when they're attached to poles out in the public. They actually become white noise. There's no point in trying to keep these things secret. Showcase what you do. The people of the city will appreciate transparency. When you get that support, that is going to lead to expanding, getting more equipment, more funding, more people. So again, I don't think it's an ill-intentioned thing. It's just when you first open a real-time crime center, you tend to, I know when we very first opened here, we didn't want to write about the crime center in police reports because we didn't want the arrested to know that we saw them on camera, so forth, so forth. And we learned a lot from that. We learned it really doesn't matter. You are who you are, whether we put a camera up or not. And the benefits of being transparent with the public outweigh trying to keep your secrets. And in reality, is if your so-called quote-unquote secrets get out and people do not commit crimes or they avoid your cameras, then you've deterred crime. So I think it's a positive either way.
Beautiful.
Actually, I have a quick question about that. Since do you ever work with those video cameras that are on the pole cams with sirens and lights? Do you ever have to, investigate those videos? And do you see crime happening? And does the behavior change based on them seeing the video?
Yeah, we just kind of started experimenting with strobes and PAs, which I think is actually can be a really neat thing for analytics. Do we really want to keep a strobe light on 24/7? Probably not, right? But with some analytics, if you can get a live alert that there's a group congregating in front of that camera and you can turn the strobe on or maybe make an announcement over the PA, I think that could be really helpful and a proactive way to use your cameras.
Okay, great. All right, so our second question is, if you had to pick 3 technologies to get your real-time crime center off the ground, which 3 technologies would you focus on? And Sarge, could we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously video is king. Video is king. I call it the time machine. You can go back in time and see what actually happened. So with a real-time crime center, you have to have deployed video. That's where it's going to start. That's going to be the foundation for everything. A good VMS, video analytics, once you start getting hours and hours and hundreds of cameras, you're going to want to process that video fast in a quick way. And I'm a strong believer in having some sort of digital communication system like Slack or Teams, whatever it may be, to get that information out to your investigators, to your officers responding. If you're getting all this video, you're getting all this imagery, but you're not giving it to them and you're only using it post-incident, you're really not operating as a real-time crime center. So I really think you need to to develop some sort of, again, we use Slack here in Hartford. That's not a commercial for Slack, but it works really well. It's how we push all of our imagery and video in real time to responding officers. It hits all of their phones immediately, like a text message. So you really need video. I'm a big fan of some analytics. I'm a big fan of good cameras too. Don't cheap on cameras. So we use Axis cameras here. Look at the makeup of your city, the harshness of your conditions. We have really bad winters here, and pretty extreme summers too. And we've pushed our cameras hard through all those elements, and we tend to get 4 or 5 years out of our PTZs, and we beat on our PTZ motors pretty hard. And along with this technology, just don't forget your people. All of this is only as good as your end users. Put some money and training into your analysts or your sworn, whatever you're using in a real-time crime center. Don't just throw light duty officers there. Put people. I've seen crime centers that put people there in punishment. Really invest in the people as well. Invest in really good analysts or sworn. Give them good training. Invest some time into them, because they are the end user that makes all this work.
All right, Sarge, that's good. I think what I hear also, to echo what you're saying across the country, is a lot of people have the misconception you've got to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to really start a real-time crime center. And I think, it's better to have some technology like the ones you just discussed, to have something up and running and to build from there. Because I think, as you mentioned, with the transparency with the city and the decision makers in counties and so forth, to get something up and running is vital to grow it down the road. So I would agree with some of the technologies you mentioned, but I just also want to just encourage everybody to do something to get a real-time crime center, even if you only focus on a couple of these technologies to start.
Yeah, certainly video, LPR, but I've also seen people go too heavy and not focus on the human element, right? The end user. So, you can have 10,000 cameras in your city, but if you don't have people at the other end really using those, leveraging those, and pushing out data to investigators in real time, I'd rather go, less cameras and have a couple really well-trained analysts using them. And most importantly, like I tell everyone in my presentations, a process. You must have a process. Do not just throw out technology and expect it to just solve all your crime. You have to have a process for how you're using this stuff. I talk about the fire hydrants, just putting out fire hydrants. You still need the process of the firefighter showing up with the truck and hooking up the water to make that all work. So just, pick your technologies that you think fit in your budget that will be the most bang for your buck for what you're experiencing in your city, for what infrastructure you have in your city. Invest in some really well-trained humans and just develop a process for how you're going to use all that stuff and get that out to your investigators.
Excellent.
And Sarge, I had a quick follow-up question, just so that we let everyone know the size and scope of your command center. How many cameras are networked in your command center, and how many analysts do you work with?
So I have 14 people right now. It's 7 civilian and 7 sworn. That sounds like a large number, intimidating number. For some people who are just starting, but trust me, we didn't start that way. We started with one. We started one analyst driving around in the back of a Chevy Tahoe with us. We had a little bit of gunshot detection and a few cameras. So we started off with one and grew into what we are now. So, some people will come in here and they get a little intimidated. How do you afford all this? How did you get all this? You have to chip away, start small, and document everything you do. If you see my case study, I'm a big proponent of documenting what you do in here, keeping good data so that you can grow. And as far as cameras, we are over 1,000 networked cameras in here, and about another 1,000 third-party cameras that we also pull those streams in as well.
Sarge, was that with the third party, the 1,000 you mentioned, was that more of a community policing initiative where you reached out to citizens, encouraging them to let you know, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so we started using, again, if you go back 10, 15 years ago, there was really only commercial grade cameras, and really only big companies had them, and maybe cities. But now, as cameras have become more affordable and more consumer line products have come out, everyone's got cameras. Every gas station, every liquor store, bank, everyone has cameras out there. So we found ourselves in the last few years really leveraging those a lot. In fact, I kept data on that. We were deploying over 300 times a year to the field to pull third-party video. And in the Doulos case here, third-party video was enormous. Yeah, we caught him on our city cameras disposing of evidence. But as that investigation unfolded, we really pulled in a ton of third-party video from all over the state. The state police was bringing in third-party video from all over the state, and we were using BriefCam to process that. We processed hundreds of hours, hundreds of hours, and time was really of the essence in that case. As we were looking for Jennifer's body, we could not spend weeks and weeks watching all this video. We really needed to process it quick, get to what we were looking for. He had several different vehicles. We were able to track different activities throughout the state in the days after her disappearance, and that really led to more evidence gathering, and it led to a lot of interviews with people that helped the state police piece that case together. And after that, as we leveraged it more and more, I started last year with some grant funding, a public-private camera partnership program here in the city. Or like you said, Tim, yeah, we did reach out to some of our strong partners here that were always sharing their video with us, and started live streaming those through a platform right in here into the crime center that allowed us to not only live stream, but go to playback, download, save us a trip from the field, going out to the field, and really gave us the real-time capabilities we use with our city cameras with third-party cameras, that speed, being able to get to that data fast, and get that information out.
So, Sarge, for the Doulos case, how did you reach out to third party, and did you kind of set a perimeter around where you first tracked Fotis Doulos, or around Albany Ave?
Yeah, as we started matching up video with dates and times and geographical locations throughout the state. Really just good old-fashioned canvassing, going out there and knocking on doors. Once we see a vehicle of his pass a certain house or a business, then going out, knocking on those doors, and just asking for those third-party video sharing. And what we find with that is the majority of people are very cooperative, and they want to share video, especially if they capture something. When someone captures a violent crime on their camera, they really want to turn that over to the police. They want to give that to us. So we found that this program was met with a lot of excitement. But yeah, that Doulos case, it was a lot of door knocking and canvassing for that video.
Mm-hmm. And we know that the original videos that were networked to your system, you were able to turn that around in hours, if not minutes. But for the third-party video, after you collected it, you had hundreds of hours of video to go through. How quickly did you go through it and turn it over to the state police?
Yeah, so obviously we didn't get it all at once. As they came across video, state police, they brought it here, and we would go at it immediately. And again, oftentimes it was, a week or days of video, a lot of hours of video. We knew we'd be looking for one specific vehicle, so we would put that into BriefCam and just get to what we need to get to right away, and get the information to them. So this case, although was drawn out over a long period of time, still had a speed element to it, especially in the first week of just really speed was the importance of gathering evidence. The evidence was, in places that were going to be disposed of and lost. So speed was really important, and obviously trying to get to Jennifer's body was a huge priority in this case. So speed of, a hard drive coming in here with, 50 hours of video, just processing it very quickly. It was really important.
All right. So our final question is, what are some future trends or developments that you expect in real-time crime centers and technology? And specifically, do you think there will be more live and real-time crime detection versus, post-event video analytics processing?
Yeah, especially as the cameras get smarter. I think you're seeing, like with access, with the RPEC chips, that is just doing this right on the edge without the need for third-party GPU power. I think that's going to be where this is all going, where you're going to be able to do it live right on your camera through your VMS. Object detection is already becoming a big thing. There's companies doing that with firearms for school cameras, just detecting a long gun walking into a school and creating alerts for immediate reaction. I think you're going to see AI really applied to LPR even more than it is. LPR AI in the past few years has started getting really good at make and model and color, but I think you might even be able to, you're going to see that get even more in depth with looking for a bumper sticker, looking for a missing hubcap, tinted front windshield, all these little things. When we're looking through for vehicles and looking through LPRs, I think you're going to see AI really scrub through LPR images and be able to filter down even stronger than just make, model, color. Excuse me. So yeah, I think it's exciting. I think it's going to keep getting better. I think as AI becomes such a powerful tool in the rest of the world, we're going to continue to apply it to law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Tim, do you have any comments? Because you talk to a lot of law enforcement across the country. Are there things that people are asking for in terms of features? Are there things that you think are the next steps in video analytics?
Yes, I think to build upon what the sergeant just said, one thing I'm seeing a lot more of today than I've seen in the past is the collaboration between real-time crime centers across the country. And I think that's important because, if you've got somebody like Hartford's Real-Time Crime Center that's been up for many, many years, they know a lot of the best practices, but they also know what didn't work. So before an agency invests in something, then it has to go back to their chief or sheriff and say, oh, I really shouldn't have spent that amount of money on that because it didn't work. So instead of having that problem, I'm seeing across the country, where real-time crime centers have conferences, you get to collaborate with people that are in that conference, that their agenda is all technology. That's all they're there. That's all they're focused about. So it's good to see where somebody can pick up a phone anywhere in the world and call folks like the sergeant here at his real-time crime center and just have open collaboration to help one another. Because the bottom line is, the more we can communicate and learn best practices from other agencies, the quicker we're going to solve crimes and do it more efficiently. And that's the bottom line. The criminals are getting smarter. So we and our agencies have to get smarter and just stay one step ahead of the bad guys.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's actually one of my favorite things about technology in law enforcement is it's creating communication between all of us. I've been here 18 years. My first 10 years, I don't think I really talked to any other cops or police departments around, certainly not nationally, but even police officers tend to not even speak to two towns over. We draw these lines in the sand and we go, this is our town and that's your town. But technology has really opened up this entire space where we're all communicating. We're going to conferences together. I've never known so many law enforcement agencies throughout the country now since my involvement in technology. And I think it's awesome. So I think you're 100% right. I think this is creating a lot more collaboration. Even here in the city in Hartford, you may have rural towns around us now that are suddenly getting license plate readers, and then they want to share those license plate readers with us, and vice versa. And those are towns we never really had a ton of communication with before. So it's kind of like this common ground that we're all meeting at is technology use.
Yeah, and I'd say, Sarge, from what I've seen, my 7 years here working with BriefCam, your real-time crime center always welcomes people with open arms and anybody that wants to come in and visit and learn and just see some of the things you're doing. So I think that's important, and I think you've always had an open door policy for any agency that wants to come visit.
Yeah, 100%. We've had hundreds of agencies come through here over the years because we are a little bit older. We've been here since 2015. We've had success. We've also had a lot of failures. We've used products that didn't work. So we've always wanted to share that, showcase successes like this. We just published a peer-reviewed case study out of this crime center. I did that because I wanted to share that with the rest of the country on how we're using technology. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for spending your time here and giving us your expertise. And thanks to everyone for tuning into this webinar.